3, 2, 1.
You ready?
You're listening to the Real Pineapple Podcast Network.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. This is the Real Pineapple. This is your humble host, Hunter, here. Hope you guys are having a great weekend or week whenever you're listening to this. So I've got a review for The Babysitter Killer Queen, which is the sequel to The Babysitter. This film, the 2017 film. This is once again directed by Mick G, who of course you know from Chuck, Nikita, the Charlie's Angels films, Terminator Salvation, just to name a couple things. And it's written this time by Dan Lagana, who is a executive producer, or was an executive producer on American Vandal, which was that Netflix true crime satire about the cars are being vandalized with dicks, which was hilarious. It's amazing that he's the writer for this. So if you've seen The Babysitter, which if you haven't, why are you watching this movie? Why are you listening to this review? But this movie picks up with Cole a couple years later. He is a junior now, and him and his neighbor, Melanie, Judah Lewis once again playing Cole, Emily Alyn Lind playing Melanie once again. They are still going to school together. Things are getting a little closer between Cole and Melanie. Melanie has this douche snozzle of a boyfriend whose name I cannot remember, but they go ahead and they're talking, they're chilling. Cole, unfortunately, and I gotta be honest, if there is a complaint, and I'm just getting this out of the way now, it is very convenient because apparently B basically got rid of all the evidence before Cole's family and the cops got there. So, you know, they just see a giant car through his parents' house. So Cole's been basically living with this paranoia for the last 2 years because no one believes him that everything he said happened actually happened, which I thought was an interesting take, but admittedly, it's a bit of a tough pill to swallow just because I thought, really, there's no evidence. Okay, fine. But Cole is basically on medication. His parents are wanting him to take medication. Archie and Phyllis, played by Ken Marino and Leslie Bibb, respectively. And Cole is telling them, like, look, I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy. And so Cole is leaving for school one day and notices a flyer to a psych ward that his parents were going to pick him up from during lunch and take him to. And so he tells Melanie about it, and he's freaking out, rightfully so. Melanie goes, hey, don't worry about it. A bunch of us are going to the lake. You should come with us. And so Cole, of course, takes her up on the offer. She steals her dad's car. Melanie does. Her dad, Juan, played by Chris Wilde. And I gotta be honest, Chris Wilde has always bothered me. I just think Chris Wilde is a goober. So it was very funny to see him once again playing the douchey dad, a role that he's very good at playing, might I add. And so they go to the beach or to the lake, and go figure, all the characters from the last film come back again. So we get the return of Max, played by Robbie Amell. And I gotta be honest, I love Robbie Amell in this role. If Robbie Amell could just play this role over and over again until the end of time, I'd be really okay with that. Hannah Mae Lee playing Sonia once again. Allison, played again by everyone's favorite person because OnlyFans, Bella Thorne. And of course, why am I blanking on the last one's name? It's the black dude. Oh my god, that's terrible. Jean, played by Andrew Batchelor. So normally I kind of dip more into spoilers, but I am going to kind of dance around some stuff here because there are some callbacks to the first film that I really appreciate. And the biggest strength of the film is that the sequel goes ahead and references several things from the first film. So you really do need to have watched the first film in order to follow this one. I know some people might kind of scoff at that, but it's true. You really do need to have watched the first film to understand and appreciate everything for this one. I would actually do a double feature like my partner and I did. I actually think that would actually be a very good idea. But this movie works, I think, for me better than the first one for a couple reasons. Yes, this is a sequel. Sequelitis is a thing, but the way that they are brought back, I did find very interesting, and I went, okay, this works. And we're introduced to a new character, Phoebe, who's played by Jenna Ortega, and she really hasn't done a lot of stuff. She was on Jane the Virgin. She's like the young version of Jane. She was on, let me see, really just a lot of Richie Rich was a TV show. Okay, so she was on that. She's really just kind of been she's in stuff here and there, but I don't think anything too substantial. And I want to see Jenny Ortega in more stuff. She has a very, very, very calming screen presence about her. She's very witty. The way her character is written, she's able to bounce off of Judah Lewis's Cole very, very easily. And I really love the chemistry they have. And given the circumstances they're in, they are just kind of thrown together almost just by coincidence and by the situation they're in. The deaths in here, I think, are more clever than the first time around. I appreciate the fact that they got out of the neighborhood. They didn't just have them go back to the house or anything like that. It is a different setting. They're in a more wide open space. I do appreciate the change up because it does keep things fresh, which I actually really appreciate. There are the thing about this too is that the humor is still there. The scene that initially we're introduced to Phoebe, she comes in and she talks about how the first thing she says is how she thinks snakes are completely misunderstood. She goes back and forth between her favorite film being Deliverance or a Rob Reiner film. And then she talks about how she's 9 days late. And the class, rightfully so, is kind of like, whoa, what? And she clearly is one of those people who finds genuine joy in making people uncomfortable, which I appreciate because making people uncomfortable can be very fun. And her and Cole, like the fact that Cole is so uncomfortable because of the situation he's in, and the fact that she kind of thrives off being uncomfortable, their friendship really works because of that. And I found that incredibly endearing and a lot of fun. Going to the lake, there's a point where Cole is, checking out his friend, checking out Melanie, and the cashier at the gas station or the convenience store they stop at goes, oh yeah, she doesn't even like the guy she's with. She clearly likes you, and goes ahead and sells him a pack of Magnum condoms for $100, which apparently he actually does buy. And I was like, oh my God, that's so much for condoms, you poor bastard. There's also a scene where him and Melanie are in 2 Minutes of Heaven, and Cole has this incredibly witty line because Melanie goes, is that a can of soda string in your pocket? Are you just happy to see me? And he goes, no, the soda string's in my left pocket. I was like, okay, I like that. You do get these glimpses, even though Cole is obviously very mentally just exhausted. 2 years of having his parents question his sanity would drain any fucking person. I appreciate the fact that Cole still has that charm, and Phoebe does bring a lot of that out of him. I really appreciate the way that they work off each other. The parents in this bother me. They're in this more than they were in the first one because Cole's gone, so they're trying to hunt down Cole, figure out where he is. But it really does kind of speak to the fact that the parents just don't believe him at all and just feel like he's a depressed kid. And just as someone who's obviously been through high school, that bothered me a little bit. If I'm being honest, it did bother me. I was like, okay, I don't love that, but it's understandable given they're trying to go ahead and just figure out what the hell's wrong with him. But the fact that they were so dismissive at points, I was like, I don't like that. But again, I'm dancing around a lot of this stuff because I think this film has quite a few surprises that if you have watched and enjoyed the first Babysitter, that you really will be appreciative and go, oh, hell yeah, I didn't expect that, but I got that. I thought the deaths in this one were very varied. Say that 3 times fast. The death for Allison in particular caught me off guard. That was one that I went, oh wow, okay. You see it in the trailer, but Allison gets shot in the boob again in a very hilarious way that I went, ha ha ha, good callback. There's a lot of callbacks to the first film that really do work here. And the last kind of confrontation was very tense for me. And again, I'm trying to dance around stuff because I don't want to give away everything away. A lot of stuff that was said in the first film is tied back in this. And that's something I really did appreciate. There are going to be these things where you are going to go, oh yeah, they referenced that, or oh, they referenced this. And the ending of this film in particular directly ties into something that they made a point to address in the first film. So again, you really do need to watch the first film, I think, to appreciate this one to its full potential. But you are, again, rewarded if you go ahead and watch the first film and make it worth your time. And it definitely is worth your time. The one other thing I will spoil is that in the first film, Cole tried to kick Max in the dick and he missed. And Max even makes a point of going, you missed my dick. He's like, and that's insulting because it's enormous. I'm paraphrasing, but I remember going, ha ha ha. And this time, straight kick in the dick. I was like, hell yeah, Cole, there you go. I appreciate that callback. And Max is the exact same way as he was in the first one. He's like cheering Cole on to make it through the night. He's like, oh, Cole, like you learned, I'm proud of you. Like as he's holding his dick. I was like, okay, that's really quite funny. And the film, Mick G's has come out recently. I want to say last week, and even said he hopes this is a trilogy. I'll be the first to admit I don't really know where you would go for a third film, but if Mick G and Dan Lagana, or even the first writer, Brian something, I'm blanking on his name, but if either Dan or Brian Duffield, if either one of them have it in them to write another script as good as the first or second film, I say hell yeah, bring it, because I'd like to see this in a trilogy if they could end it correctly. The thing I'll say in closing that is so endearing, just like in the first one, is that Cole's a young kid in the first one, and he goes through this experience and he becomes stronger coming out the other side. This really is about him validating what he went through in the first film and still continuing to grow, given the insanely shitty hand that he's been dealt. There was multiple points I was looking over at my partner and I was just like, God, Cole can't catch a break. Like this poor bastard, like he's trying so hard and he just cannot catch a break with the shit hand that he keeps getting dealt with these fucking, Satan, these blood worshippers going ahead and hunting him down. The film also does flesh out some more of the mythology behind what they've set up, which is something I did appreciate. And I will just say, pay attention to everything in this movie, because a lot more stuff will connect at the end than you'll probably think. And that's the last thing I'll say, because I really don't want to spoil anything. But this was a lot of fun. I had a blast watching this. I actually personally like it better than the first one for me. Okay, probably the last thing I'll say. I got a really hard laugh, and it's just emotion. But Allison does a superhero landing. Whenever I see that, I just think Deadpool now. So that was something that I got a very good laugh out of. And they have a surprisingly sweet, albeit sad, way to go ahead and bring up Alice in Wonderland, which I thought was actually very interesting. I was like, okay, I like that. This is a solid A for me. I thought this was a lot of fun. I gave the first one an A minus. I actually think this is an improvement over the first one. There is a twist that the trailer intentionally hides from you, which is why I'm not bringing it up here. That once the film gets going, you kind of go, "Oh, son of a bitch, really?" And it really does fuel the movie. That twist, and again, it's about maybe a third of the way through when the movie really kicks in that next gear. That I really was like, "Wow, that was really well done, well played, film." So I really appreciate this, and this is well worth your time. It's a little longer than the first one. The first one's like 85 minutes. This is like an hour 44. There is more to flesh out in this movie for me, and I found the last confrontation incredibly satisfying. So definitely worth your time, guys and gals. You should go ahead and check it out. But Babysitter Killer Queen, what did you think of it? Let us know what you thought in the comments below. Go ahead and like our Facebook page at The Real Pineapple. That's REEL Pineapple. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter at JHunterRealPineapple. You can follow Scott on Twitter at Nearman1st. You can go ahead and like, share, and subscribe. Find us on SoundCloud, Apple and Google Podcasts, Podbean, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio, TuneUp, and Spotify at The Real Pineapple. Thank you so much for listening. We'll have reviews up this week for the Umbrella Academy Season 1 and 2. And we will have a trailer review for the Dune trailer that came out. And I will have my thoughts on other stuff probably. But thank you so much for listening. Please stay safe out there, especially if you're on the West Coast. We've got fires burning right now. Please stay inside if you can. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. And we'll talk to you guys soon. Take care.